So most people doesn't really want to do cold approach because cold approach is either something that could go really, really good for you and show you an entirely new way of living, probably get your life partner that you've always been dreaming of, unlock a whole new set of opportunities for you, or cold approach could be the worst thing you ever do in your life, where you become an even bigger loser than you ever was because you just had the most rejection ever. People insult you. But I don't think people really get the second thing so often. I never hear about it, and that never happened to me. And I do cold approach for dozens of times. But with the right knowledge and the right things prepared and the right perspectives, you could eliminate and pretty much guarantee that you don't have the second thing happen to you. The first brutal truth about cold approach is that cold approach isn't something you just dive into and go into the hardest possible approach that you could do on the day. Cold approach is something that you have to start with mini approaches. Mini approaches help your nervous system to calm down. It helps your brain to understand that it doesn't need to be releasing adrenaline every time you do an approach. And it kind of puts approach and getting rejected as a boring thing. So that when you go to do a real approach after the mini approaches, you have a little more calibration and more of your subconscious brain working to come up with things to say, instead of relying on your conscious thought all the time. The best way I found to do mini approaches and pretty much guarantee that you have a good time during actual pickup during the day is to immediately after waking up in the morning, grab your coffee to go, and where you're going is to the busiest park that you could find, preferably a lap. And you're looking at the park and you're looking at the lap that people making. And if everybody were walking or running the lap clockwise, you walk or run the lap anti-clockwise so that you come in head on head with the people as much as possible. And the reason to do this is so that you have a lot of face-to-face interactions with people. The first set of people you come across, try just nodding to them. Then nodding to them saying hello. Then try nodding to them saying hello, good morning. Then try nodding to them with a big smile. Hi, good morning. And most times people will respond to you because in this particular situation, a good morning and a hello is actually the polite and the right thing to do, right? This is a interaction early in the morning with people who are go-getters and exercising for their health or something like that. And is the polite right thing to do to say hello. So most people forced into saying a hello. But the ones that don't say hello is really the ones you're looking for. The mean ones. The mean ones count as the mini rejection that you're looking for and helps your brain to acclimatize itself with being okay with being rejected. So the second most important thing, apart from doing mini approaches and mini rejections and cold approach pickup, is to take away all your safety checklists from you. Safety checklist could be we're trying to wear on sunglasses, because sunglasses typically hides your eyes and it is a kind of way to hide within yourself while doing approaches. The next thing to get rid of is those headphones and even just not walking with a phone, because with a phone you would think that you need to keep swiping on your phone and looking at your phone and thinking that you have something important to do on your phone and trying to make yourself look busy and like you're such a busy professional person or something like that. And you really don't want to even have the opportunity to hide behind a phone, a sunglasses, or headphones. So leave all those kind of things home so you're confronted with what you really come out to do. When you're home, you do your phone and your headphone stuff, but when you're out, you're trying to come face to face with people in the warm-up, and even then when it's really time to do approaches, you want to be head on head with them. The third most important thing in practicing cold approach pickup is absolutely zero mind-altering substances, meaning no alcohol, because even the tiniest bit of alcohol would smell on your breath, and more importantly, people would detect it on you because you will be acting a different way and moving a different way, and people could tell that you're intoxicated, and people could tell that you're only acting through the alcohol. People would treat you differently, detecting that you are even the least bit intoxicated. So you should be prepared to be sober and anxious rather than intoxicated and more liberated or free. Choose the sober, anxious route because you will actually get better results when people realize that you're dealing with them face to face, even if you're doing night approach or club game pickup. People still rather you be sober doing it. The fourth thing to remember in cold approach is that people's reaction and how they react to you is on them more than it's on you. You doing a cold approach session, you should view that as a social experiment that is run by you, for you, and the only person that is going to benefit is you. You are the person now that's going to be able to get the feedback and get the growth in your mind and what's possible for you as a person. You could view the other person's reaction as a test to see how many people around me are actually good people who are well adjusted socially. Because what I found is that people who are well adjusted socially, they react really nice when people try to talk to them. People who have self-esteem issues or are anxious are typically the ones who are rejecting of people and who are angry that they even try to talk to them or who don't know how to react properly. When you come from this type of mindset, when you're looking at it as a social experiment, that it is on the person's reaction saying about them rather than your skill, it trains your mind to look at every no as a training and every yes as proof that you're leveling up. Lesson number 5 and things to remember in cold approach pickup. You need to drop the ego. One core thing to remember is the ego wants you to look cool and wants you to feel as though that everything is right and you should be looking, you should not be feeling and you should not be looking ridiculous when you're doing stuff like that. But the important thing to remember in cold approach is, hi, good evening. The important thing to remember in cold approach is that when you're doing this training, you are really not the person that grew up in a home where at 12 years old you maybe had like a six-pack or you were jacked and you had a high self-esteem and everything was going good and all your friends and family was complimenting you about what a good person you are and how cool you are and how successful you are and how fit you are. You are not the person that naturally doing good at talking to women, otherwise you wouldn't even be on the internet looking at videos on how to do cold approach and stuff like that, right? So anybody that into self-development and into learning life skills really should remember that they really should not be trying to look as though they are that guy that grew up like that. You have to face reality as it is. You are a person that is learning social skills, and part of learning social skills is that you're going to fail and you're going to look ridiculous. And you're just going to have to take all that as feedback to become any good at these kind of things. Cold approach exists for you, the man who actually wants to grow, who needs to grow. The rep in doing it is the win. The win is not trying to look flawless or to come out with the ego intact and the ego thinking that you are cool and you never get rejected, or that you don't need to do this and you are above this and you are such a cool guy and everything naturally happens for you. The rep of doing it is the win. And letting go of the ego and how you should look and that you don't need to be doing this is how you get to that win. The 6th most important step about cold approach pickup is don't ever think that you're going to learn cold approach pickup by doing a one single cold approach pickup today. Cold approach pickup, back in the Usenet forum days when we used to call that sergeant, it was clear that if you try to do a one approach for the day, it's not going to go well. You're not going to get any good feedback, you're not going to grow mentally, and you're going to probably go down socially. You're going to think less of yourself and you're going to set yourself back real plenty years. Cold approach is supposed to be done in marathon sessions where you go out and you try to do 100 approaches for the day. You have to dedicate entire blocks of time, maybe an entire day, maybe 3-4 hours for the least. Cold approach, you have to let go of the idea that you might just be in Starbucks, getting a coffee, and you will see some girl next to you in the line, and you're going to just do a cold approach on her. That's not going to go well. That is not something that you warm up for, and that is not a one single approach isn't going to train you and teach you anything good. That might be good, that might be the ideal thing to do one day when you are that guy, when you are a cool guy, when you are natural. But for now, when you're trying to train and you're considering doing cold approach pickup, that shouldn't be you. You shouldn't be thinking that you could do that. Set aside big blocks of time for cold approach. So the 7th thing to remember when you're doing cold approach is that the frame you're coming from is really important. You can't view cold approach as this hard, difficult thing that you're trying and it could go bad and it puts you in a kind of locked up mode where you're doing like this hard mathematics exam or some science exam or something like that. Cold approach is supposed to be more like a comedy routine that you're doing. It's supposed to be a form of self-amusement. Any approach you're doing, you cannot be like a robot doing an approach. Any approach you're doing has to be done from the point of view as you doing this to entertain yourself. To learn, yes, but first and foremost, self-amusement is key. The last bonus tip about cold approach pickup is that just like how self-amusement is key, self-amusement starts with how you go out there. You can't go out there in your best black Gucci shirt and pants and your most professional looking outfit. You need to start being a clown in how you look. In the forums long ago, they used to call this peacocking. You're wearing on the most ridiculous outfit choice that you think you shouldn't wear on, you think is kind of foolish. Whichever outfit you think is not a cool outfit to wear on, not a cool hairstyle to have, not a cool accessory to wear on, you should do that, because that's where it starts with self-amusement. And that's where it starts with breaking your ego and not trying to look cool.